Are you an executive working to build a resilient culture that empowers the people of your organization to thrive in business and life? This podcast is for you. 7-7 Impact uses our 7-pillar framework focused on humanizing leadership to fight against the 30-year battle of unengaged employees so that organizations can create a culture of engagement, increased revenues, and consistent opportunities.
Company culture and mission may have more pull on productivity than previously thought. In recent Gallup reports, 69% of the global workforce felt there was corruption widespread within business located in their country. If employees and consumers don't believe in their country or that executives will do what they say will do, how can they expect loyal and engaged employees? Today, we are diving into 7-7 Impact's third pillar, faith. To believe or not to believe, that is the question. So, Lindsay, sitting on this topic of faith and looking at the Gallup report, 69% of the global workforce believes there's corruption. Let's kind of unpack this word corruption and why there's such a large percentage of people, of businesses, that believe it's in the workplace.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to highlight that word that you said, believe. This is not a statistic where there is corruption in 69% of the businesses. It is the perception that there is some sort of dishonesty. There's some sort of unethical things taking place. And that is what I feel like these reports are saying. These are all, Gallup does all these reports, and these are all employees that actually take the surveys. So 69% of them globally felt like there was some sort of dishonesty widespread within the businesses located in the country that they lived in. That being said, yeah, that's a big number. As an executive hearing that number, it's kind of like, wow, is there anything that I could be doing or that is being done in the executive office that may give off that perception? My first question would be like, why is that perception out there? And from somebody that has worked in sales for a while, and I think we talked about this a little bit, the first thing that comes to my mind is it could be something as simple as quotas being skyrocketed to where people have to like double what they were doing just to make money or just to make their bonus. And that could be a level of what some people might believe as corruption, quote unquote, right? What do you think, Scott? I'm interested to hearing your perspective on that.
Yeah, thanks for definitely putting it out there that this is not corruption in how we may traditionally hear the form of like certain political parties are corrupt, X, Y, Z, blah, blah, blah. But this is really the perception of the people of the company, their belief system. Are the executive team going to do what they say they're going to do? And really, that's what we're saying as far as breaking it down to the faith component of a business, right? And so I think you're right. Like with, in a sales environment, there are falsified numbers. We've all seen it. What are the margins? What are the goals? What are the stretch goals? What are the COGS? And what does it really mean to our customer base for what we're selling? And so I think it hits a lot of different perspectives. But ultimately, Lindsay, it's as an employee population, do we have confidence that our executive team, that they're doing the right thing, that they're doing what they say they're going to do? Are we confident that they're aligning those initiatives with our mission? Are we confident that they have maybe our best interest at their hand? Or is it the customer's interest at hand? Or is it both? So it's confidence in the belief. Where are they at? Where are they at? Well, again, according to the Gallup results, it's not very good. And so what can we do about that? And I think it all starts with being honest with ourselves and then being honest and transparent with our people of the company. What's our true desires? Do we have alternative agendas in place? If we're producing a product, the manufacturer, are we producing that product the best we can, the way we say we can, to have longevity? Or are we simply having another Band-Aid approach? And I can tell you one thing, Lindsay, it's extremely challenging to be in a work environment where you just don't know if we have that level of confidence and faith in our executive team.
I completely agree. And why this is so important. And when you look at it from a bird's eye perspective, I'll share a story. When I was working with a company in the sales force, and I was always in the top of my sales force that won multiple President's Clubs back to back. And when somebody asked me what I was doing, I would be open in telling them. And so I had created this initiative that just changed my business completely. I put it together in a slide presentation, step by step, the whys, the whats, the hows, the everythings. And I handed it over to my manager, who then handed it over to his manager. And they both came and rode with me. Everything was great. All was good. And here I am looking for a promotion. And I never got the promotion. I never got that opportunity to interview. But what I did find out is those managers put their name on my presentation and gave it to their upper management. To me, which took my level of engagement completely out because of my faith and the belief system I had in the people that I directly reported to, was out the window. I didn't feel like there was like some mutual respect, or I didn't have confidence that whatever I said to them wouldn't be displayed in some other fashion, or that I would get credit where credit was due. And so ultimately that did affect my level of engagement, my performance. And matter of fact, they ended up losing a really good sales rep. I left the company this first opportunity that I could because I wanted to be somewhere where I could thrive. And when I left that company, I ended up finding a company that I went to. And for the first time in my life, I'm sitting at a national sales meeting and the CEO is walking around shaking all of our hands saying, "Thank you so much for being here. I love that you're here. This is great, blah, blah, blah." Like just really making connection with us. We're talking about two completely different systems where I wasn't sure at all about what I was doing or why I was doing it or what our main goal was here. I just felt betrayed in a lot of ways. And then on the other end, I go to this new company and I'm like, I will do anything and everything because I feel part of something. I feel included. And I think that that's the difference of having faith versus not having faith within a company and what it means to a business, right? And the longevity of their employees.
Yeah, that's an awesome story. And what I get from that is press in or press on. And so what I mean by that, if we build this confidence and this faith component in an organization, they're taking the actions. They may not all be correct or be right, but they're taking the actions and striving in that lane to build the confidence. Employees start pressing into that, right? Had you received some recognition, or typically it's not even that much. And sometimes it's financial, sometimes it's recognition. It's all, what makes a person tick, right? I mean, that's a different conversation. However, though, when we are getting that back, we press in. We typically want more, right? And when we don't, see you later, onward we go, right?
Yeah, or you even shut down, right? Look at the level of disengaged employees, right? And how much they're costing U.S. companies $450 to $550 billion a year on lost productivity because they're disengaged. They're checking the box. They're making mistakes. They're not putting their full self or doing the full job. When you have a majority of people in the workforce disengaged, it's either press up or check the box and then press on, right? Because actively over 80% of employees right now are looking for another job. They're putting their name out there. And when we talk about customer relations, we talk about business and the ultimate bottom line and what the power of having loyalty and people that are like just own the name of the company that they work for. It just becomes something else in the marketplace to where people believe that you're going to be consistent in how you show up instead of the inconsistencies. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I really like that you say consistency, because at the end of the day, we're people. We all have lives. It's something we'll say over and over again. We don't expect perfection. However, if we have the space and the room to operate with a work environment where we have that faith and confidence in our leaders, it's a much different outcome. I have absolutely lost my marbles in the workplace more times than I'd like to admit. And I say, sayonara, and, was it always the best move? Probably not. I can tell you 100% of the time, I accepted a role or an opportunity. I just accepted to be in the moment of what I chose to do at the time. I was 100% all in. And then slowly it starts draining out, right? It's the leaky cup, right? And all of a sudden, before you know it, everything is gone. And yeah, I'm certainly not proud of a lot of conversations I've had in the workplace, but when it's dry, that can lead to frustration, pain, hurt, all these things, and we respond and react differently. I'd say that's consistent with my work history, right? And so we can evolve. And now I can thoroughly say I have expectations of a leadership team. I have expectations on myself to lead my team in that manner, and that should be expected. And it's not really that hard to do, right? It comes down to some very simple things. It comes down to, are we going to choose to wake up with a smile on our face and enjoy the opportunity to tackle what we have in front of us for the day? Or are we going to complain about it and go down that negative pathway? The fact is things can be very hard, but if we have that confidence and faith in ourselves and why we're doing what we're doing, we can certainly demonstrate that to our teams.
Well said. Well said. And yeah, I agree. I mean, I think that consistency is going to be key here, but it's not only consistency with what maybe it seems like is going on a habitual cycle, right? With a lot of different people and the companies where something goes wrong and then we end up reacting instead of responding. I mean, everybody has bad days. We're human, right? But I think it's everybody's consistent. When there is belief within the company, belief within the executive team, it means that you're able to respond versus react. It means that you're able to be consistent and obedient in the way that you show up and act according to what your mission and your vision and your core values might look like, right? What the culture you want it to be, who you want to represent as a company. We've talked about mission and vision quite a bit. And until you actually figure out who you are, who you want to be, what the legacy is as an individual and as a business, it becomes very hard to be consistent in any action to create the belief system of your employees in the business. And one thing that you said that just came up for me is that you said that when you start with a company, your belief system is high. You're like all in. You made the commitment to do this. You're going to do this. And I think that might be true for a lot of people. They're excited to start this job. They're ready. They're bought in. And then slowly and surely it ticks away. And you might have a very engaged employee. And then it might ultimately end up to a very disengaged employee to then a gone employee. Either that, or you have somebody that's a high performer and all in, and then they're gone. It could be the one of two different ways. Regardless, it costs the company a lot of money to have that happen. So we're talking about how you can prevent that from happening. What do you need to do? What kind of stage do you need to set to help your employees believe in you?
Yeah, that's awesome, Lindsay. Hearing you say, how do you prevent that from happening? It takes me back to a story. Many of you know I'm a mountaineer, I'm an alpinist. I spend my time all over the world for all different communities and all sorts of cool reasons. But something that's consistent in when you're in the middle of nowhere under circumstances of extremely poor weather conditions, bad eating conditions, temperamental attitudes because you're with people all around the world, and there's a lot of variables in play. But something that remains consistent is that we have our navigation system. We have our maps. We have our GPS unit. We have satellite communication. And so we have these tools, right? So some of the things we can do to prevent things going disastrous in those environments is listen to our GPS, listen to the information we have, and execute on that. And then within that, there's also communication, right? So we get the communication from the satellite, and then we discuss as a team, what do we see, what's happening here and today, and what's our plan moving forward. But back to that consistent word is we use our data points on the global positioning system to help give us information where we're at, and trust, have faith, have complete faith of where we're going.
I'm so glad that you brought up the GPS navigational system, because it makes me visualize when I get in my car and I put in an address. I have full faith that that GPS system is going to get me from point A to point B. I don't find myself questioning it when I get to the next stoplight or anything like that. I go. And I feel like when you look at that as the faith or the belief system, being that GPS system as a leader, as executives for our employees, it kind of makes me like visualize, what does that look like? What would it look like if when I say something as an executive and my employees, my company, everybody within it is like, yes, total trust, total belief in what the process is and why it's there. What would that look like, and how would that change the dynamic of the company culture?
Yeah, that's super awesome. I love the simplicity of an example where we use it every day. Whatever map or GPS system we prefer, we have that inherent faith that it's going to get us to where we're going. And if there should be an accident, perhaps a police officer, it's notifying us on how to change our actions or redirect or pivot in the moment to still get to that place we desire.
I don't think we could put it in any better terms, really, when we think about faith and what it looks like to have faith in a company. That GPS system is such a great example on what we can do. So, I want to ask the audience, what does it look like to be that GPS system for the people that work for you? What does it look like to be the GPS system for the consumers, for anybody that in your company? And how does it look to exude it?
So awesome. Like you said, I think that's very well put and simply said. And so today's episode was all about faith and what does that look like, having a company of people that have complete faith in the executive team, complete faith in our company's mission, complete faith in the vision of where we want to head as an organization. Let's just jump into that question Lindsay put out there. What does it look like for your organization or your company to fully operate in that faith and comfortably with confidence? And how does that have full impact of your sphere of influence, whether it's internal or external? Once again, that drives over and feeds into family life and relationships across the board. So thank you, everybody, for joining us today on C-Suite 7 on 7-7 Impact's third pillar, faith. Please subscribe and have a great day.